Hello, welcome to Southern Wreaths. Make sure you watch this video till the end to get a sneak peek at my next video. And please subscribe. Today I'm going to show you how I make this trick-or-treat Halloween wreath. I even painted and glittered the sign myself. And I'll show you how I did that. These are the supplies I'm going to use to make this wreath. I'm going to start by adding pipe cleaners to my wire frame. I chose orange just because I have a lot of orange. But you kind of want to pick a pipe cleaner color that goes with the colors of mesh and ribbon you're going to use. And I'm using a 12-inch frame instead of 14-inch. But I'm going to do it the same way I do my 14-inch frames, except my pipe cleaners on the outside will be closer together because I end up getting 14 in, just like I do with my 14-inch frames. So I just add one to each crossbar on the inside. I end up with 6. And then I'll do 8 on the outside. And I'm going to start at in the center instead of at a crossbar, because in my head I thought that this would line up better, but I do actually end up at a crossbar, so I could have just started that. I'm doing this differently because where my pipe cleaners end on the outside ring is where I'm adding my next one. Normally I do it on the second ring, and this just helps me get them even as I'm going around. Because you could probably get away with doing just 12 on this wreath, but I just decided to go with 14. And I'm using a lot of scrap ribbon, which is nice. Sometimes you can use up the pieces of ribbon that you don't really have enough to do other things with if you put them with a lot of different ribbons. Now I'm cutting my mesh. I'm cutting this black is 10 inches, and I'm cutting them at 15 inches. And then this green mesh is from Hobby Lobby, Michael's, so it's 12 inches, and I'm cutting those at 15. I had more green mesh than black, so I'm doing this wreath a little different than normal. I'm not going to do the inside and outside are exactly the same. So for the outside, I'm doing 2 green in one and then a green and black in the next. And on the inside, I'll just alternate the green and black. So there'll be a green up, black down, black up, green down. Just because I have more green mesh than black. And I am adding 2 into each section. And I'll twist once because I'm still going to add ribbon. I like the way it looks when you do 2, just because I personally think it gives it more texture. But you could probably just cut your mesh at 30 inches and then just do one big ruffle. And when I have a lot of ribbons, I like to do the ruffle method. So before I added the mesh to the pipe cleaner, and then you can open it and add the other. Or you can use your Bodabra or any kind of chip clip or anything like that. Or you can just hold it in your hand. Mesh tends to stick together though, so I don't really like to hold it in my hand as I'm doing it. But I always love to find ways to use up my leftover things just because I hate throwing stuff away. And if you use several different kinds of ribbon, you really don't miss, one being less than the other because they're all random. Especially with this one, they're really bright colors and different, like polka dots, and I really like the way it turned out. I'm a real big fan of use what you got. And don't limit yourself, or I don't limit myself to, oh, I can't do that because of this. Like if you think, oh, I can't do this wreath because I don't have enough black, but you do have enough green. So you can still do the wreath and it'll still look good. It just won't be, you know, in what you would consider perfect. I love the way it turned out. I did have black, I just didn't want to open a brand new pack, and this pack had already been used a little bit, so I'm using what I've got. Alright, now I'm just going to add my last ruffle section. It already looks pretty. I love lime green or bright colors with black. I think it looks really nice together. And you want to fluff the mesh against each other so that it's poofing out. So I decided to pull out my my Dollar Tree mesh. I'm cutting them at 6 inches, I believe. 6 or 7. So I'm going to do this differently than what you would normally do with 6-inch mesh. I am going to take 2 curls and I'm going to stack them together to make one big curl. So I'm holding one in my hand as I curl the other. Well, I stick it in my mouth, but either way. And then I'm overlapping them as I add them into the pipe cleaner. I open the pipe cleaner and then I put that in there. And you could do 4 or more if you wanted to. I was just going to alternate purple and orange just because I have purple and orange. And all of these colors were in my ribbons, so I wanted to make sure I had them in the wreath, like in the mesh part of the wreath. And I do it this way just because when you do the 6-inch and you stick it down into the wreath and then you add the ribbon on top, you kind of lose the 6-inch mesh. So this way it's still standing out. So it looks like it's more like a 10-inch or a 12-inch mesh. Just a little trick. And you won't see like any of the overlapping because once you put the ribbon in, it's covered up. So I'm cutting my ribbon. One of the ribbons I cut at 10 inches just because I didn't have as much of it. So I will put that one on the top of any stack that I do. But the rest of them I cut at 12. And then I count because I need 14 sections filled. I will go through and count, you know, how many I need. So the ribbons that I have enough of, I'll just cut extra to add to ones that are lacking. You just have to do a little bit of math, and I like to sort them all out. Like when I have them like this, I'll lay all of the stacks out to make sure none of them are missing anything, and then I'll stack them all together like what you see here on the right. I decided I wanted to add some of this mesh tubing too. They're all cut at 24 inches. And I'll just cut one piece, like I'll fold it over to see how I like, you know, how big I want it. And then I'll just use that one piece to cut the rest, like lengthwise. So I'm doing 3 ribbons in each section, and then I'm adding the mesh on top, like a little bow tie. And then I'm just going to hold it all together. And then I open my pipe cleaner section, and I'm adding this on top of the curls that I have in there. And now I'll twist 3 times and then use a glue stick to roll down to make a curl. And with a wreath like this, it would be really cute to keep the curl standing up. I just didn't think about it as I was doing it. And then you just fluff it. And I've noticed when I fluff ribbons that when I have 3, I always end up keeping the same one in the center. And then I'll just X the other 2. I'm not sure why I do it that way, but I just naturally do it. This green right here, the sheer glitter green, is the one I cut at 10 inches because I didn't have a lot of it. But when I put it on top, it stands out. Now, if I put it on the back, you might not have been able to see it as well. So that's another little trick you can do. Which I could have cut them at 12 inches too, but I wouldn't have had as many. I think I ended up with 6 versus I would have only had 4 if I cut them at 12. But when you have so many different ribbons, it's nice to just mix them all together and have a really fun, bright wreath. And I've noticed that bright Halloween wreaths sell really good too. I personally like scary wreaths, but I don't really sell them where I live. People don't want scary wreaths. And see, I absolutely love how the mesh tubing looks. So cute. Alright, that's how I made my wreath, and you can leave it just like that if you wanted to. You could make a bow, but I decided I wanted to do a sign. So I painted it black because I wasn't sure what I was going to do yet, and I didn't like how it looked on top of the colors. It didn't work for me. So I'm using my Versamark ink pad and Martha Stewart glitter to decorate it. I didn't know if this was going to work because it's not embossing powder, it's just glitter. But using the ink pad really helped keep a straight line. And I'm doing each thing a different color. And a trick with using glitter on signs, it gets so messy. And after the fact, when someone buys it and they touch it, the glitter will come off on their hands. If you use, I personally use hairspray. I'm sure you could probably just use that clear sealing spray, like the sealant. But hairspray works. Take it outside, you spray it with hairspray, let it dry, and I usually do it twice. And then when you rub it, it doesn't come off. I did heat it up with the heat gun, but it wasn't really making a difference. But it stuck. Like, it was not coming off. It was amazing how good it worked. So if you ever are in a pinch and, you happen to have certain things on hand, use what you got, see what you can come up with. And since these were words and there wasn't like a really good thick place to add the pipe cleaners to, I'm just cutting the cardboard smaller. And then I'm going to carefully staple them onto the back of the sign. But you definitely want some kind of buffer there. If not, the staple will go straight through. And there I'm checking to make sure it didn't before I add my next one. Because there are ways to fix it if it comes through, but it's easier to just, when it doesn't go through. And I'm going to add 4 to each corner. And then I just feed it through to the back and wrap it around the wire frame. I do it loosely at first until I get it exactly the way I want it, and then I'll go back through at the end and really tighten it and then, hide the pipe cleaner. See, here I am at the back, just pushing it out of the way so it doesn't scratch a door or anything like that. And I'll do that with all of them. But you want to wait until you're happy with where it's at, because if you do this and then you turn it over and you don't like it, you'll have to pull it out and untwist it. It's not too much fun. And now I'm just going to move my ribbons out from underneath the sign and then just kind of straighten them up a little bit. But that's all there is to it, to making my really bright Halloween trick-or-treat wreath. I know the sign looks really funny with the light on it, but in person it's really pretty and sparkly. I really enjoy personalizing signs to wreaths. Thank y'all so much for watching my video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can email me at craftingwithlee@yahoo.com. And if you learned anything or like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.